He must be thrilled with that, I'm sure. When you tell him
sure
that, he reacts negatively to that, I'm sure, right?
Well, there's no war between us.
Does he accept your divinity?
He may or may not. That's his freedom. See, that's the freedom of every soul. If you read the scriptures on the man that was called Jesus Christ, his family, you didn't read where his father Joseph followed him. You didn't read where his brothers and sisters followed him. In fact, the scripture says that when he had a huge meeting, healing, Matthew what? 1247.
This is good. You have your own personal verse quoter here. That's fantastic. Every time you need a verse, man, it's right there.
I've trained him well.
Yes, excellent.
Yes. The scriptures show that his mother and brother stood without and asked to see him. And he refused to go out and talk to them. And when they said and asked him, well, what about your mother and your brethren? He looked at his disciples and stretched forth his arms and said, those who do the will of my Father, Yahweh, these are my mother's, brothers, sisters. In other words, you have to be of the family of God to be true family. And that's what he said.
It is also my understanding that at a certain point, I forget exactly what year, you were connected with the black Muslims. Is that correct?
Oh, that area of life I never discuss. I never discuss how long I was a Christian and the extent to which I was involved as a Christian. I never discuss my studies and the mastery of studies of Buddhism and the Eightfold Path. I never discuss my mastery of study of the knowledge of Hinduism and all the gods of Vishnu, Rama, Balarama, and Prabhupada and all of the attendant gods, and that includes Islam. I studied everything.
I can understand that. To put it on a more pragmatic level, though, what I'm asking is if one had a sense, and I'm not asking you to go into any details. In fact, on any of the questions I ask you, I'm totally comfortable with you saying that's something I don't discuss because that is certainly your privilege. But I'm trying to understand why, if one had I'm trying to project myself, which is hard to do, into your shoes and say if I had an awareness that I was God, why I would even connect myself with another religion.
Well, I was born mentally and spiritually dead. Isaiah 42:19 says the Son of God would be born spiritually dead.
What does that mean?
Well, it means that it's not the hanging on the cross of 1900 years ago that's the issue. It's not being buried 3 days in a sepulcher 1900 years ago that's the issue. Those are only Masonic and symbolic signs of my coming,
but
the true Messiah coming.
But when you were born spiritually dead, what does that mean?
That means that my people, my biological people, the so-called blacks of America, were brought here as slaves in 1555, and in order to be maintained as slaves, something had to happen to us. And to maintain us in slavery for 400 years as opposed to biblical slavery of the Hebrews, for this to be maintained, we had to be killed. So all of us were killed. We were absolutely wiped out, mentally and spiritually. Sure.
Spiritually broken, you might say.
Totally, not only broken, but absolutely amnesia. No recollection whatsoever of our God, Yahweh. No knowledge or recollection of where we came from. We were told Africa, but Africa is a huge continent. Many different tribes, many different dialects. We were never told what part of Africa or what tribe. We were never told our language, our history, our culture, our land, or our God. And when a people, any people on earth, is deprived of these essentials, you have zombies walking around. You have Frankenstein monsters walking around. You have people who are destined to be on the bottom of civilization and wait for someone to tell them what to do, to tell them how to work. And I want to add this. I have never taught, and I do teach, I've never taught that this is totally the white man's fault. I have taught my disciples from the beginning that history shows that whenever we, as Israel, as Hebrews, would violate the laws of Yahweh, he would destroy us, not taking us out totally in the physical sense, but he would reduce us to slavery in every single instance. The Bible is replete with us being delivered, break the laws, thrown into captivity, delivered, break the laws, thrown into captivity. We've had almost 6,000 years of that.
Okay, we are going to have to take a short commercial break to deal with earthly matters. And when we get back, I want to talk a little bit about the Jews and your feelings about the Jews. When I say the Jews, I mean the conventional Jews, the ones who are living in Israel now. I want to talk a little bit about your feelings about, because you say you are the leader of the world, of all the nations, your feelings about whites, because there's been a lot of confusion about that. And we'll get into those things. My guest, Yahweh Ben Yahweh. It is 2:21. Steve Kane on WIOD News Talk Radio 610. We are back with you at 2:23. Steve Kane on 610 WIOD. My guest in studio, Yahweh Ben Yahweh, and we are attempting to clarify some of the misunderstandings about the Yahweh religion and about Yahweh himself. Let's talk about the Jews a little bit. I noticed in some of the material that I read, when they talk in the Bible about Moses leading the Jews out of Israel, out of Egypt, right, into Israel. Thank you, Ellis. See, we have Ellis here for theological advice as well. Most people view the Jews as being white. Was Moses white or black?
The scriptures teach and show conclusively that he's black. His skin color is black. Mm-hmm. The people of North Africa always were black. The people of the continent of Africa are black.
Maybe color is the wrong way to go with this, because we know that skin color really is one of the big misunderstandings about racial clarifications. The racial clarifications are Negro or Negroid, Caucasian, and there are Negroes and Indian and Asian and the Oriental. Yeah. Are you saying that Moses was Negroid?
I don't use the word Negroid. I don't accept that classification. In the first place, the historical root of the word Negro comes from the Greek word Nekros, which means is pronounced nekros, and that means something dead. So if you refer to Negroes as being a mentally dead people, that's the reason that name was given, then I can accept that as a historical explanation. But to say that
so you don't
Moses was a Negro is absurd and ludicrous. He wasn't a dead man.
You don't accept the generally accepted racial classifications, then, you're saying?
No, the ones who gave those classifications would have to be racist.
What do you consider?
And I'm not a racist.
What do you consider yourself?
I am a universalist. I am from Yahweh, who created all things. He created all life. Yahweh is the father of all men. And I'm not the one who created skin color games. And I don't believe in the skin color game. I don't subscribe to it. In fact, I'm here to eliminate it. The problems on the earth today, much of it, not all of it, but much of it, has been contributed to the skin color game.
How do you feel about the Jews who are presently in Israel?
The Jews that are presently in Israel make for a very interesting group and a very interesting melting pot. You have a group called Phalasha that were rescued out of Ethiopia, who are reputed to be the lost tribe of Gad, and they are black as a coal. You have the Sephardic Jew. You have two different, you have what is classified, they popularly refer to themselves as Orthodox Jew, and just a Jew, as they say. Mm-hmm. You have the group of Jews who believe in the law and the Torah and in the keeping of the Sabbath, and that there should be no commercial activity. That's a minority, seemingly a minority group in Israel, who has their voice in the Knesset. Then there's a larger group that want to do what they do in the West all the time. So there's already a problem within Israel about this.
Do you consider Israel the home of your people?
All of North Africa was given to us by Abraham, through Abraham. It was given to us by Yahweh through Abraham. All right, but that's Genesis 17:8. But I'm here to let the world know that the earth belongs to Yahweh and the fullness thereof. So